Hey everyone, it's Gamespace Weekly number 5, the 5th week back at everything to do with Gamespace. Rather than get too deep into this early on, let's just jump into this malarkey and get straight to the news. First bit of news we got for you this week is the GeForce Now launch. The streaming game service that Nvidia have been working on has been in beta for years. As long as I can remember the Shield platform being out, the Nvidia GeForce Now system has been in beta for probably that long. Now the system's gone live, it's completely free for users around the world and it allows them to pipe full HD gaming into the home on mobile, on your PC, on your Mac, on your mobile platform, which I've already mentioned. It's an incredible service, let's be honest. The reason I say it's an incredible service is because it brings one killer feature to the app that no other service quite provides right now, and that's RTX ray tracing tech. Right now, if you want to go ahead and have ray tracing at home, it might be over $1,000 for a 2080 Ti. It's a ridiculously expensive piece of kit that you then need to back up with an equally ridiculously expensive PC. The Nvidia GeForce Now service allows people for $5 a month, at least until the end of the year, to go ahead and experience ray tracing at home on a rubbish £200 laptop. I mean, who wouldn't say no to that? And even better, it allows gamers to access their existing games, and when you buy a game on the RTX enabled service, you go ahead and you keep that game. Google Stadia platform certainly is something to worry about here, and if you want to see all the details about it, head over to Gamespace and check out the news now. Second bit of news today is Overwatch 2. Jeff Kaplan has finally come out and given us some details about Overwatch 2. So we actually have some news about the game now. After Blizzard's slightly confused announcement about the project at BlizzCon this year, well, last year's BlizzCon. I'm as confused about which BlizzCon it is as anyone else. Anyway, after all that confusion, Blizzard have finally given us some information, and if you're not busy boycotting Blizzard's products, then you probably want to head over to Gamespace to take a look at the snippet of information, I'd say, that we've got from Overwatch 2. It's been a big week for Final Fantasy XIV fans. There's been two big bits of news that have dropped on the game this week that you probably want to head over and take a look at. The first piece of news is the upcoming patch 5.2. That patch is named Echoes of a Fallen Star, and it continues on from where patch 5.1 left off. It's got a whole host of new trials, crafts, weapons, itemization, and a narrative line that I'm not going to go anywhere near spoiling in case you don't want to know what goes on with it. Suffice to say that this game's had massive success, and this massively multiplayer online role-playing game that's based in the Final Fantasy universe has had a huge resurgence since it was rescued when a realm was reborn, even up to now when we've got Shadowbringers. If you want to see more details about all the stuff that's being dropped in the 5.2 patch, head over to Gamespace now while we move on to the next bit of Final Fantasy XIV news. Second bit of Final Fantasy XIV news that fans are going to want to know about is the announcement of Final Fantasy XIV FanFest. It's a bit of a tongue twister, and I'm not going to keep on trying to say Final Fantasy XIV FanFest because then I'm going to have to keep recording this over and over again if I mix up saying Final Fantasy Fan 4 40 Fan. See? Anyway, the coming together of Final Fantasy XIV fans at the Final Fantasy XIV FanFest is going to hit 3 cities across the world. It's just been announced that it's going to hit Nagoya, San Diego, and London for one. We're maybe going to try and score a ticket for London and see what goes on at this. Suffice to say, we already know it's a chance for fans to gather together with other Final Fantasy XIV FanFest fans, enjoy the game, carry out some trials with a free company, get close to the devs, and in general be Final Fantasy XIV fans at the Final Fantasy XIV FanFest. If you want to know all the details, head over to Gamespace now. You have no idea how many times I've had to say Final Fantasy FanFest 14. Damn it. Moving on. Moving on from that tongue twister, we've got the reviews from last week at Gamespace. The first up is a game that massively impressed us, and no doubt it was going to. Knights and Bikes was a massive success when it's hit PC and console already, published by Double Fine. It's inspired by 80s films like The Goonies It's a narrative action-adventure game that comes in a really charming 2D style. It's done the indie rounds for some years before it initially launched on PC. It is so heavily narrative-driven that I don't want to reveal anything about the game that's going to ruin it for you, but it's a gorgeous game. It deals with tragedy and elements that the art style really belies how heavy the narrative elements are in it. Go ahead, head over to Gamespace, take a look at the review, and just understand why it impressed us so much. Moving on from that first Switch release that we reviewed and we're looking back at, next one I've got is Aviator Attorney. Yeah, it's pretty much a Phoenix Wright narrative style detective game where you're a bird. I mean, really at this point, you're either in or you're out. So if you are in, head over to Gamespace, take a look at the gorgeous art style and the great narrative writing that's involved in it, and see why we gave Aviator Attorney Definitive Edition such a high score over at Gamespace. If not, then let's move on to the next review. So, the last review this week is Frostpunk's DLC update, The Last Autumn. Now, 11-Bit Studios revealed Frostpunk to us a few Gamescoms ago, and we were blown away by this harsh reality of a post-apocalyptic city management sim where you have to build and survive, take harsh decisions, and essentially be a harsh god. The DLC continues those basic themes of making the hard calls, having a gorgeous art style, and a great musical score to go with it. We had really good things to say about it over at Gamespace, and frankly, I'm just going to say it's more of the same, but less snow. Anyway, head over to Gamespace, check out the review, and let's see what we've got coming next week. Coming up next week at Gamespace, we got tons of other stuff for you. We got a ton of news and reviews as always, but we got two things especially that I want to highlight. I'm just finishing up my review of the Sound Blaster G3 USB DAC amp, which allows console, PC and mobile gamers to really level up their sound experience when they're playing games. We've also got a massive competition that's coming up, so you may or may not know if you play Classic WoW that there's some content update coming very soon for it. New dungeons are coming, and to celebrate that, we're going to go ahead and drop some big prizes for this. I probably can't say what they are right now. Let's just say Collector's Edition 3. Like 3 of them. I mean, do you know what? I've said too much. Keep an eye on Gamespace. You really want these prizes. Other than that, again, head back over to Gamespace for anything else that you may have missed. Anything from our Lucid Sound 10X headset review through to all the other reviews that we've got there we didn't have time to fit in today. Have a great week and come back next week for your roundup of last week at Gamespace.